Dr. Goldman.
We live in an interesting community. The residents of Carbondale in the main are very, very interested in the quality of life that the city offers them. And I believe in the main, the city does offer that quality of life. And as we see the number of people who come from outside of Carbondale into Carbondale, they come here to enjoy the quality of life that we offer in the city, and then they go home at night. That's a bit of a problem for us. But the issue is the distinction between those who hold that the quality of life here is determined by the level of housing, and they are very strict about the expectations for how housing should look. I think they're fine. That's great. There are others who need to just find a place to sleep and they're not too worried about it. We have to be able to bring those two together somehow to make sure that we're all on the same page with respect to our expectations for the quality of life. The city needs to be able to enforce its codes. This is not to say to take arbitrary and capricious behavior. Not at all. It is to say we need to find codes that are useful, that are appropriate, and then enforce them. I understand the additional cost and so on. Nevertheless, the high cost that we have of deteriorating buildings and homes is too hard to handle. You look at some of the deteriorating buildings that we have, some deteriorating houses. I'm sure you've seen them in the areas. Houses that are shut down and nobody pays any attention to them, they walk away from them. We have to do something about those housing areas as well. We also need to get people, developers who are willing to take some risk in developing homes that are at a price range that are affordable to people that we want to come here. And I don't know that number, I can't set that number, but I'm sure we can find it out. And I think that we need to do that. We need to be able to find price range homes. There was a housing committee that recommended that here in Carbondale, and we never followed up. Housing is vital. It is the picture that people have when they come into your town. And in too many areas, our housing needs work. We cannot also neglect the rentals. 70% of our people are in rental properties, and too many landlords use that as a way of making money, depositing the money, and leaving it there. We can't allow that either. I can tell you that we don't have to be overly vicious about this, but we sure need to be very, very diligent about making sure that the housing stock in Carbondale is up and ready and people are proud of where we live.
And Mr. Haynes.
Ditto. I think that several of the comments made by my fellow candidates here are right on target. One thing that I would like to expand upon though is we were in the process as a council and having just voted upon to get all of our zoning rules and regs updated. I like to see that we have involvement from both sides of that territory, which includes all the developers and anyone else that wants to get involved in that, and homeowners. One thing that I'd like to expand upon what Dr. Goldman said is that when we look at price ranges for houses in the city of Carbondale, I think we need to look at all different levels, excuse me, including those in the $30,000 to $40,000 price range and those in the $50,000 to $80,000 price range. Because as diverse as our community is, we have individuals who are in that economic area that need to have a house in that respect and want a house in that respect and want to purchase a house in Carbondale if given the opportunity. So I don't think that we would limit ourselves in developing that portion of what goes on. I think with our rental inspection program, again, like Councilman Fritz did comment earlier, it had some hiccups in the first couple of years of its inception. I would like to think that it's gotten a whole lot better. I think it has, but it's an ongoing monster that has to continuously be monitored and worked with. And that's just my own personal belief in that respect. I think it's been a very good thing because it gives individuals who are bringing their children, let's be honest, when individuals, parents bring their kids here to Carbondale, they're entrusting us to be their surrogate mother and father for X number of years. So we have a responsibility to continue to do what we can on the positive end to make this adventure or this short time that they're with us here in Carbondale their home, and they're part of what's going on there. So that has to fall in there too. I think with our rental inspection program, we've done a good job of getting where we need to get to, need to be continued. And we don't need to alienate anybody from coming to the table when we talk about changing of the zoning ordinances or moving things here and there. I think a open, honest discussion is in fact needed, and I hope that when whoever will be the next mayor has that opportunity, I myself would think I would be there, that we could have all the individuals in the room come together, have some meetings, have discussions, especially on zoning and everything with the building inspection, and start from there. Thank you.
Mr. Fritzer, our next series of questions is about taxes and tax policy. Are taxes too high in Carbondale? Secondly, was restoring the property tax the right thing to do? And if this city has to cut its budget more, where do you go to cut? Or do you raise taxes?
Well, first I have to agree, our property taxes are too high. If we're wanting to compete against towns like Carbondale, Erin, Marion, to attract people to come to Carbondale, yeah, our property taxes are way too high. Because, if you can go a few miles down the road and buy a similar house and pay property taxes $2,000 less, who wouldn't do that? So we need to be working with the other organizations and agencies that basically make up the bulk of our property tax. I voted against reinstating the city's portion of the property tax. It was because mainly it was going towards paying for the increase in pensions for the safety personnel handed down from Springfield. And my reason behind that was that I feel that we have 60 to 70,000 people here in town during the day, and whereas we only really have 25,000 residents, including mainly students. So I felt it was more fair if everyone that was using those services contributed towards that expense, as opposed to just the property owners here in Carbondale. As far as meeting additional costs, we are sort of on a bare bones budget right now. Actually our revenues are pretty on track, but there really is no room for any other grandiose plans or projects at this current time. There probably is more room for cutting.
Anything specific?
Well, I think travel. Also, the thought has come up with is what we do with the tax that we raise from hotel and motel tax. And according to state law, that can actually just go into the general fund. I think we really need to put our street sweepers back on the road, mainly because we're still paying for them. We're still paying principal and interest on our 2 street sweepers. And as you all know, our streets are very dirty right now. They look terrible. So if you're having a tourist come into town and they see their streets, it's a mess. So we need to start cleaning up the town to attract people back into Carbondale.
Dr. Goldman.
To the question of our taxes too high in Carbondale, the answer is a resounding no. To the question of the taxes too high in Jackson County, the answer is a resounding yes. We have 11 different taxing bodies in Jackson County, one of which is the city of Carbondale. And up until the recent change in taxes, if you looked at your tax bill, you saw that right next to the city of Carbondale it said 0. There were no taxes, no property taxes there. The difficulty is the range of services being offered in Jackson County. And I think we need to take a look at that. We're paying for John A. Logan and for a whole bunch of places, and I think that's what we need to look at. The big issue is that there are 3 ways to look at things. One is you cut the budget. Well, you have to do that with wisdom, because after a while, when you continue cutting, you lose the soul of your town. So that can only go so far. Increase in taxes, I'm opposed to those only under great necessity. The third is to grow the economy, and that's where we need to put all of our energy. How do we grow the economy? We have to create jobs, we have to create industry. Just yesterday I issued a press release in the development of something called the Technology Innovation Zone out at the airport. And I elaborated on how we could develop this and bring in companies that focus on technology. We can do that because we have one distinguishing feature in Carbondale that nobody in the area has, and that is we have the talent in the area of technology, information transfer, so on. We can stimulate those entrepreneurs to get out there and do something. They are doing it now, but they're doing it in the comfort of the incubator. I think that was where we need to go. We need to grow our economy. And the way to do that is to be very creative, to be very innovative, of enticing and bringing business to this area.
And Mr. Haynes.
As one who did have the opportunity to vote for the restoration of the property taxes, I did it with the assumption of this in particular. Contrary to what Councilman Fritz just said, that individuals in the city of Carbondale are having, we have a great influx of individuals within the city of Carbondale during the day. He's absolutely correct. But we also have an opportunity and responsibility as individuals who live, work, and are here 24/7 to pay for some of the services that we receive, and that's police and fire protection. Those individuals put their lives on the lines to be our customers, and we have a responsibility to make sure that they get adequate and responsible payment for doing the such. Now, is it the totally right thing? If the state of Illinois was in better financial condition, we could all say, no, it wasn't, and we can move forward from there. Unfortunately, we have responsibility as a city government and as individuals sitting at the city government table to make choices. Some of them are not pretty or easy or convenient. But you know what, the one thing that someone did ask me, and I always say this, I didn't just put the property tax back on you. I have to pay it also. So I'm not getting out of this myself. And in agreement with what Dr. Goldman said, we have a responsibility, excuse me, we have a responsibility to make the picture that we see from the tax bill very open and honest for all of the individuals who live in Carbondale. A lot of people think when they see that tax bill, they think that all that comes to the city of Carbondale. Well, no, it doesn't. We have those other taxing bodies that are there, and we have a responsibility to show that to people. We have a responsibility to do something about that also. Thank you.